I am back in the Garden State, and I just happen to be chopping it up with one of the top welterweight prospects in the entire Northeast. He is joining me today, the Italian Stallion, Nick Caracappa. Nick, thank you so much for being here, my man. I've been wanting to talk to you for quite a while.
It's my pleasure, man. Thank you for having me. I've been waiting for this.
Well,
Talking about that for a while now.
Hey, you know what? I apologize. The wait was longer than 6 seconds. I know you're not a patient guy, but we're here. We're doing this thing now. Nick, you train at Dante Rivera BJJ. I've had several of your teammates on my show. So I've known over the year and some change I've been having this platform. I've gotten to know several of your teammates. Eric Nolan's one of them. But I also know that your brother, Matt, he's also at your gym. Luke Fernandez, he's at your gym too. A lot of killers, a lot of really amazing, talented guys, and several of them are in camp right now, including yourself. I was hoping you could give me a little bit like behind the scenes information, like what's it been like with you and several of your teammates all being at camp. You're fighting on the Dead Serious card, and your brother Matt and Eric, they're fighting on the CFFC 116 card. I'm sure there's a lot of shit going on in the gym, and things are hectic right now.
Oh, it's definitely chaotic, and everyone's trying to squeeze their rounds in like accordingly, making sure everyone gets their 5 rounds in. So it's just been like honestly a blast watching my brother get back, his return, seeing him train hard in the cage, watching Luke and Eric train always motivates me to definitely go harder, keep pushing. Definitely with Jerry too, he's on that card, and Galante's a big help me for this fight.
Talk to me about your brother, Matt. He is like you. He's going in for a fight after a little bit of a break away from the game. What does he look like out there right now? And I can only imagine how excited you are for him.
Definitely. He's an absolute savage. Like everything I learned is from my older brothers. Definitely a big part of my game is striking, and my brother Matt helps me for that. And seeing him back now training full time is incredible. He's going to be a world champion. Like, mark my words, we're all going to be in UFC one day.
Your brothers, you have 2 brothers. They're both mixed martial artists. And I don't know about them, but I'm assuming all you guys wrestled in the past.
Yes.
Okay. So, you all wrestled in the past. You all crushed it in high school. And now we're on this next chapter. You're an amateur fighter. Your brothers are both professional mixed martial artists. So all 3 of you, is this like, has MMA just always been like a central point in your life, or was it just kind of like a natural evolution from wrestling?
It was definitely like a natural evolution. Like I always wondered when I was younger what I was going to be when I was older, if it was a baseball player, football player. But once I started wrestling and then I found MMA, I was like, damn, I want to do this. I remember being like probably like 8 years old and throwing out my WWE action figures and replacing them for like Brock Lesnar, Forrest Griffin, Diego Sanchez. All my favorite fighters are transferred right at that age. Right when I was 8 years old, I knew what I wanted to be when I was older.
There is something that's really interesting about disciplines in MMA, and I'm not trying to throw shade at the jiu-jitsu guys. I'm not trying to throw shade at boxers or the Muay Thai guys, but you look at the guys who have achieved just new heights of this sport, like one of the best fighters in the entire history of mixed martial arts, Daniel Cormier, Kamaru Usman. They all have something in common. They all come from a wrestling pedigree. What is it about wrestling, and why is that discipline in your mind so successful in mixed martial arts?
I learned that from a young age, that if you want something, you're going to have to work for it. And that all came through wrestling. There was no, like, you're on a football field. If someone messes up the next play, everyone can help out. It's only you out there. So I learned from when I was really young, probably like 7 years old, that I need to work hard. And I remember just going for runs with my brothers when I was little for no reason, just to say I was cutting weight, but I wasn't cutting any weight. I was losing 2 pounds for a wrestling match the next day. But wrestling sculpted me definitely into the man I am today, 100%. I remember losing like 8 pounds a day for a high school wrestling match just to get a forfeit. Like it's badass, definitely.
About to talk to a All-American. He wrestled All-American, and he just made the jump to mixed martial arts. He's an amateur mixed martial artist, and he fights at 205 pounds. So he's a big dude. So like but he's not the first. I've talked to a lot of wrestlers that had a lot of success in college, and now they're they find themselves, your age or maybe a little bit older than you. And now they're in mixed martial arts. For a wrestler that's out there that's thinking about making the jump up to MMA, what are some of like the tidbits, or what are some of the things that you have learned that you would tell a fellow wrestler that's looking to make the jump up?
Definitely stay the course no matter what. Like always be positive. Like if you think like you're gonna transfer over to MMA, you can't have one foot in. You have to have both in. Like you have to train really hard, harder than hard. Let me word this correctly. You have to train harder for wrestling, definitely, like for like a match and stuff. But MMA, you have to be focused and dialed in on everything because it's not just a wrestling match. But it definitely gives you that edge. I'd say all wrestlers transfer over to MMA.
It's also kind of like interesting, and maybe I'm cherry picking a little bit, but like I kind of feel anecdotally that if you are a wrestler and you're making the jump up to MMA, there are some exceptions. Bo Nickel's one of them.
Mhm.
But by and large, it's like, okay, like this guy's a wrestler. He's just going to try to grapple fuck you. And I feel like a lot of times, like you kind of have to like earn that respect, and you really have to be able to showcase relatively early on in your career that, yeah, that's like a center part of my game, but I could do other things as well. I feel that doesn't necessarily apply to maybe some of the strikers. I'm not really sure what that is about grapplers. It's like I feel like you guys kind of have to like be a cut above, and you really have to like work harder to get respect from people. Is that something that you've kind of like noticed?
Oh yeah, definitely. Going into my first fight, I said to myself, I'm not taking this kid down at all. Like no matter what, I'm not taking him down. Even in my last fight, every time I watch, I get mad at myself that I took him down. I just want to stand and bang. That's all I want to do is just fight. Like when I think about a fight, it's with two hands. It's not like taking anyone down. Like I go out there to knock people out for sure.
Well, you've done that in the past. And I think one of the things, especially when you're trying to make your name for yourself, if wrestling is your discipline, I feel in the past, it's a lot harder to, because the audience is so new to MMA. We're still trying to like figure it out. We're still trying to understand all the disciplines, what they mean. Even myself, I don't know how many tens of thousands of MMA matches I've watched, but like unless you're a black belt in jiu-jitsu, unless you come from a wrestling background, you may not really understand all the intricacies of the ground game and what's happening. And through a lot of self-study, talking to a lot of grapplers, a lot of wrestlers, I'm just now beginning to scratch the surface and have a better understanding of what's happening on the ground. But when you're in row 35, section Z, you don't really see all that shit, right? You just see two guys wrestle, grappling around on the ground, and it's just like, man, this shit really isn't the most exciting for me. I want to see someone get kicked in the face. That's got to be kind of like a challenge if you're a grappler.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like all my like friends and family come watch me fight, and they're paying money to see me. I don't want to go out there and take them down and just lay on them for 3 rounds. Like I want to like show some carnage, like real shit out there, like throw some hands.
You did that when you made your amateur debut not that long ago. You knocked out a guy one punch, and that was lights out for him. It was a 6-second knockout victory. But when you like kind of pan out from that and you look at both of those fights, it's not the finishes that kind of that really impressed me. I know that sounds kind of crazy because everyone's like, oh my God, they were great finishes. We got 2 dubs. What more could you want? But when I'm looking at the entire stage, and knowing your background, I knew you wrestled, and I also know you're from New Jersey, and both your fights were in Philadelphia. So you're fighting in front of your hometown people. There's a lot of people that are showing up to these things, and they want to see you do well. That's a lot of pressure to have to cope with, fighting in your backyard like this. And some guys thrive in environments like that. Other guys don't do so well. So that is what really impressed me, that you were able to not only get out there and get the victories, but I was more impressed that you were able to go out there in front of your hometown and succeed. I think you should give yourself a little bit of a pat on the back for that, because that's really fucking hard to do.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I realized that like when I was a junior in high school in the region championship that like I will always perform better when the lights are on me. Like tournaments, wrestling, like once it's a center stage, I always perform better no matter what. When all the eyes are on me, I definitely come to perform.
The Jeff Taylor fight where you knocked him out in 6 seconds. You followed that up a few months later when you fought Tyron Harris at CFFC 97. That was a really big card. You were able to get a unanimous decision victory. For the good people out there that forgot, because it's been a couple of years, what do you remember from that Harris fight? He was able to go the distance with you. What was that experience like? Talk me through what it was like getting instructions from your corner, making your adjustments. What do you remember from that fight today?
Oh, I'll never forget that fight. That fight was the worst camp I ever had in my life. I had to lose 43 pounds in a month. In like 4 days I did it, and I still lost weight the day of weigh-ins. And my friend was with me coming away. He's like, bro, I might have to take you to the hospital. I was like, looking at him like, just shut up, dude. And we made the weight, and I just remember being in there, landing heavy shots and being like, how is this kid still standing? And I learned a lot about myself in that fight because I went all 3 rounds. And going into that fight, I was definitely scared because I only got 6 seconds of fight time. So it felt like this was a first fight all over again. And my legs were heavy. But as soon as my music came on, that's when I snapped out of it and I got right in the zone.
Wow. So like you said you had to lose a significant amount of weight just in order to compete. And when you think about like, I'm sorry?
I was 228 pounds.
Oh my God.
I get heavy. That's not even the heaviest I've ever been.
And that's not implying that you're like being like a fat ass eating pizzas all the time. I'm not, that maybe that's the case, but like some of these weight cuts are absolutely freaking brutal. Like
Definitely.
Even like 170 pounds, like I gotta tell you, like I don't know a lot of like normal guys that walk around at that weight. I really don't. Like, but just I feel like, most grown ass men who lift weights or maybe are a little active and whatnot, you just don't really see anybody that walks around at 170 pounds. You just don't.
Uh-huh.
And
it's definitely hard.
And for you, now that we're approaching the holidays, it's like, golly, man, you're going to have like a salad and maybe a glass of milk, and that's your Thanksgiving dinner.
It's my birthday too on Thanksgiving, so I don't even know what I'm going to do. I'm at a good weight right now, and I'll cheat a little bit. I'll have like a little piece of cake. I don't care. I'll make the weight.
You have been out of the game for a while, and I would be remiss to not talk to you a little bit about that. The break started from May of 2021. Now here we are at the tail end of 2022. Talk to me a little bit about like what was going on with I don't want you to talk about anything that is taboo or whatever, but talk to me a little bit about the break. Like, was that something that you had like intended to do to take care of some things outside of the cage? Were there other things going on in your life? Walk me through the gap.
So I definitely did not want to take any time off. Like I always want to fight. My favorite thing in the world is making money and fighting. That's my 2 favorite things. So I usually gain quite a bit of weight outside of like my camps, like in between them. And this one, I was out for a while, probably like 5 months already after my second fight, and no one was accepting any fights. And one day I woke up and my back was killing me, and I got on the scale and I almost fucking died. It said 258, and that's when I knew I was like, all right, I got to start losing weight. And I got down to like 235, went for my physical for a fight, and I failed it for high blood pressure. So I had to figure all that out for the last probably year, and I just passed my physical yesterday, and I'm like so happy. I didn't want to post anything about the fight because I didn't want to jinx it.
So talk to me about matchups and how do matchups work for you? Because, I when I think about you, there are 2 different schools of thought. Before we hit the record button, I was telling you, if I had a gym, I would want my guys to fight like the biggest, toughest, scariest guys in New Jersey. You are one of them. So for me, it'd be like, that's the guy we're fighting. We're at 170 pounds. That's the guy we're fighting because he's the biggest, scariest guy out there. If you can just hang with this guy, you are going to grow so much from that. That's one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is one that we're probably really, really familiar with. Like, Jesus Christ, we aren't even in the same zip code as this guy. Asses and elbows, wherever he is, we are asses and elbows away from this dude. We don't want any part of him. Let's find some freaking can that we can beat up on to build our confidence. We'll worry about him another day. Is that
Unfortunately,
kind
that's how it is.
is that kind of frustrating for you?
Oh
It's
yeah, it
like
kills
it's like, dude, like, think of side A, like you should want to fight me. Let's do this.
Yeah, it's terrible. I'm opponent pulled out the day before a fight, and I was like, "How do you pull out the day before a fight for a broken wrist?" And then I see he's doing helicopter rides over Las Vegas the day before he breaks his wrist. Like people, like I think, just do this for clout. Honestly, like I see someone on Instagram fighting, and they think, "Oh, I can fight." I was a football player in college, so I'm gonna fight now, and that's what happens. And then they pull out, and or they don't ever fight. It's like a consistent theme I'm seeing
I
now.
think everybody can fight until we're talking about a weight cut, until we're talking about an actual fight camp,
Uh-huh.
until
Yeah,
we're talking about all the shit that you have to go through
yeah,
just to make the weight. And then we fight. Like you have to earn the right to just set foot in the cage. Like,
yeah.
and it's like everyone's a badass when you're not cutting weight and you're not in a fight camp and you haven't tortured yourself to make the weight. So it is funny to hear a lot of people talk shit like that, because it's like, dude, I guarantee you set foot in an MMA gym and like their newest amateur who's trained is going to fucking whip your ass. I don't care how big you are.
It's crazy, like how disrespectful people can be on the internet towards like professional fighters, amateur fighters when like they don't do anything. They just
Like,
watch, and it's terrible.
it was one of the things that really surprised me about when I first started this platform and just how it just been plugged into the game for as long as I have. It was really amazing to me like how often you guys get picked on, like by regular people. Like,
Huh?
because to me, right, it's like I go into a bar and some guy's like, yeah, man, I'm an amateur mixed martial artist, or yeah, I'm a Golden Gloves boxer. I'm like, oh, cool, dude, buy this guy a beer. What's up, man? Like, talk to me about it. That's freaking badass. That's how I view
Uh-huh.
all this, right?
Yeah,
But then there are other people that's like, oh, that guy's a mixed martial artist. Like they
I'd
puff
fuck
out
him
their
up.
chest, like
Huh?
I'm about to
Yeah.
fuck this guy up, right?
Uh-huh.
So it's like, have you had similar encounters like that in your own life?
Yeah, definitely. Like growing up, I don't know what it was about fighting. I just like I wasn't a bad kid, but I loved fighting. Like I didn't want to get in trouble, but I really liked fighting. Like just some type of drama that involved me and my friends fighting other kids. I was always there, front and center, and definitely like there's been some times that are like going into my first fight, the kid was 6'4", and my last street fight I got into, the kid was like 6'6", and he thought he was gonna like really like mess me up, and it didn't end well for him. And it was probably quicker than the Jeff Taylor knockout, honestly.
Like that is not a surprise to me. Public service announcement: if you are a tough guy out there, fight another internet tough guy. Do not fight a trained fighter. It's not going to go well for you. I don't care how big you are. Nez, if you're listening, Nez is a small little bantamweight, and he would throw a guy who's not trained in MMA across the room.
It's the
And
Palestinian Khabib.
yeah, he would have his way with you. I don't care if you're 100 pounds heavier than him. He's going to pick you up and fuck you up. And he'll choke you unconscious, 100%. All love to you, Nez. I hope you're doing well, man, if you're listening to this. Talk to me about this upcoming fight we have, Dead Serious 46. This is your chance to finally get in the cage after a really, really long time of inactivity. It's in the Showboat Casino in Atlantic City, New Jersey. It's shaping up to be a very, very big fight. But it's not just any fight. We got a title fight here. Walk me through how this fight came together and who are you fighting, and talk to me about that.
My opponent is Danny Mullen. He's 2-0 with a first round knockout and I believe a third round armbar finish as well. So he's definitely tough. And I'm going to go out there and we're going to see who's tougher, who hits harder. I'm not shooting any takedowns. He's more than welcome to try to wrestle. I remember him from high school. He was a wrestler as well. We were around the same age when we graduated. I'm happy to accept the fight, but I'm going to knock him the fuck out 100%. I'm going in there for a war. I'm going to pick my shots, be cool, calm, collected. I'm not going to rush anything. And it's going to be a good night, definitely. All my friends and family are going to be there. It's going to be sick.
Talk to me about this guy that you're fighting. There's some familiarity with him. Have you seen him in an MMA fight before? Whether you were just
I've watched his fight online. I saw it, yeah. He's really sloppy with his hands.
What does he do? Anything that you think is like marginally good?
Oh, he's a good wrestler. I'll give him
Okay.
that. He's definitely a good wrestler. I think I can see a couple of changes how like the fight's gonna play out. Definitely me coming in heavy with a lot of pressure, him shooting for a takedown with no setup, and me hitting him with an uppercut, him going out cold, and a couple more. And I know, like me saying this, like, oh, if he hears this, I hope he does, because it's gonna happen. I know
Mhm.
what's gonna happen in that ring, and I don't know what round I'm gonna knock him out, but pretty comfortable saying I'm gonna knock him out in the first.
So without giving away your game plan, because I never ask questions about that, but it's safe to say that you feel you have the power and striking advantage over your opponent going into the match.
Definitely, and I think I have a wrestling advantage as well.
So what would getting this title like mean for you after such a break in action? I mean, it's an amateur title, and a lot of people are like, oh, it's an amateur title. But for me, I'm like, shit, it's a title nonetheless, man. Like, not everyone gets one of those.
Mhm.
That's got to
Definitely.
be a really like cool feeling to know that you've earned something in this sport in only your third fight, and now you have like a title that nobody can ever take away from you. Like that'll
Uh-huh.
be yours. Like that's amazing, man. That's like a golden gloves
Thank
kind of
you so
thing where
much.
it's like,
Thank you.
dude, like not a lot of people can say that they've done that, and in just your third fight, you're
And
going
a
to be
lot of
able to
people have
walk
been saying
away.
that. Wow,
You're,
that's awesome.
yeah, you're going to be able to walk away with the title in just your third fight. Like you don't hear about stuff like that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's gonna feel amazing. I know all my hard work's gonna pay off, and both my older brothers have been the Dead Series champion as well as an amateur. So I can't wait to finish it out. Like definitely like leave my legacy
What
as
is
an
next after this fight? I know we're not looking ahead of this guy. I know that you're locked in on him, but have you thought about what happens beyond the 10th of December? Like, are you going to be taking another amateur fight? Are you going to be going pro? What can people expect from you in 2023?
if this fight goes the way it should, I will be turning pro after and probably making my debut in the summer, maybe somewhere around then.
Wow. So we are just going to line them up, and the plan is to stay really, really active and to
Yeah,
just keep that momentum going.
maybe I would fight even in March, like pro debut in March, CFFC, Ring of Combat, don't matter.
Dude,
Just want
I
to get out
mean,
of Contender Series.
that's like really exciting to think about. Like potentially there is a potential like all three of you guys could be on the same card one day.
Yeah, that would be amazing. That's my dream, honestly.
Yeah,
Right
like
now, I'm
it's
focused
it,
on definitely making like an appearance in the same card my brother Matt, and hopefully my brother Phil gets the call soon for the UFC.
I hope so. I am familiar with him. I've seen him fight before. He's a very special fighter. All three of you guys are really special fighters. How cool is that to think about? Who knows what's going to happen down the road, but there could be a day on a UFC card where all three of you guys are fighting.
Yeah, and we all have the personality to go like really far. Like people would definitely like us. It's like the Diaz brothers or something like that. Like we fight how we are, and like we like the energy we bring in the cage. Like CM Punk even said it. Like the energy the Caracappas bring in the cage is unmatched. Like it's something about them. I like watching them fight. When we go out there, we're fighting with everything we have, leaving everything in there. We're not waiting for anything, like playing back, like waiting for a decision. We're going out there and we're fighting.
What you just kind of said, I thought would have been a really good answer to a question that I wanted to ask you. In New Jersey, in your neck of the woods, that whole tri-state area, your brothers, you're well known commodities. People know that about you. The challenge in MMA is when you go beyond that and you start fighting in bigger promotions, the stage gets bigger, you're exposed to a broader audience. And then the challenge becomes some random dude who's watching his TV in Florida that has no fucking idea who any of you all are or what CFFC even is. Like, I think your success in the promotion not only relies on your ability to perform well in the cage, but also to get people like that to feel a reason why they should tune in and want to watch you fight.
Definitely.
If you're able to get some random dude in Wyoming or Texas somewhere to tune in to watch you fight, you're steps ahead of most people. Like, what would you say beyond the answer that you just provided? It was a really good answer, and maybe it's a tough question, but like in your mind, like when you think about the promotion, when you think about engaging people like that, like what's what would be your hook to get some random dude to like watch you fight?
I guess just knockouts maybe.
I think
Like
that's
after my first fight, I think I want to say Switzerland. It's under Tapology. One of them did one of those countries did a cool article on me. It wasn't even in English. I had to translate it through Google Translate to see the whole thing they wrote about me. It was really awesome. But I guess you should watch me fight because I knock people out and I hit hard and I don't stop fucking coming forward.
Hey, that's a good answer. I mean, hey, go out there, be violent, put people to sleep, and that is the quickest way to get casuals to want to tune in. Like, oh man, this kid's a savage. I want to watch him fight. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I remember my first fight was going a little viral on like Twitter and Instagram. There was a lot of sites posting it. And I remember Rob Haydek, the owner of CFFC, was trying to get it on Sports Center, the knockout, but it never came through with it. I was waiting for that.
The one thing that I wanted to ask you before I let you go, knockouts, right? Sometimes you'll see guys get a really awesome knockout like that, and then they hunt for it, and it gets them in trouble. They'll go out there, they'll start overcommitting, and then they get countered, and then they're the ones that go to sleep. Why is that not going to happen to you on December 10th?
I learned that my last fight. I didn't get knocked out. I didn't get hit really at all, but I overextended on a couple of my combinations. Rewatching, I was about to throw up just looking at it. So this fight, I'm going to be cool and calm and not overextend and not rush a knockout. It's just going to happen. The knockout, my first fight, I didn't rush it. He came right to me, and it just happened. I didn't even feel the punch land. It just naturally, my instincts kicked in. My last fight, I was just like eager to get out there, and I rushed it, and I threw probably like 13 punches like in 5 seconds. And I definitely gassed myself out a little bit in the first round.
I can only imagine it's like baseball, right? Because like baseball, I can't relate to you when it comes to fighting, but if we're talking about baseball, I can kind of relate to it. Anytime I ever hit a home run, it was like I wasn't searching for that home run. It was just technique and fundamentals, and everything just worked out well. I wasn't necessarily looking for it. It's when you go out there hunting for that home run is when you make an ass of yourself. And I can only imagine in fighting it's the exact same.
Yeah, even in like training, like if I'm sparring with someone and they hit me good and I get mad and I try to go at them, like I never will be better if I just keep that mindset. If I get hit, I got to come forward now and throw the same exact punch. And I learned a lot. I'm a student of the game, definitely. And this allows me to like show my craft because this is definitely an art. MMA is definitely an art. And I think like when I'm in the cage, like, and all the eyes are on me, like, you'll see like some crazy shit, like combinations. You'll be like, okay, I can see that, like a mixture of like Sean O'Malley and like TJ Dillashaw. A lot, like I love so many styles, and I combine them into one. So it's gonna be an awesome night, December 10th.
How can people watch your fight on December 10th? Are you selling tickets? Is there a pay-per-view? Talk to me about how people can watch you fight.
It is on pay-per-view under Dead Serious MMA for I think like $25, and you can buy tickets online, and you put a promo code under the website under my last name, and you can either buy VIP if you want some blood on your shirt from my opponent, or you can buy the regular general admission.
Pay the money, get the blood on your shirt. You won't be disappointed. Nick, thank you so much for spending your Sunday afternoon with me. I wanted to give you the last word. So if there's anyone that you would like to thank, if there are any sponsors you need to talk about, I'd like to do that for you before we let you go.
All my success goes to my parents and my 2 older brothers, my coach Dante Rivera, my assistant coach Ash, my teammates Eric, Nolan, Luke Fernandez, Nicolanti, Jerry, Nez, my brothers, and my 2 sponsors, Anthony Riddle. If you want some dope clothing, go check his website out. He's sick, coolest clothes out there. And my bro, Drew, Apex Sport. If you want some cool supplements, go check him out.
Stallion, I can't wait to have you back on my show when you have the Dead Serious title on your shoulder. We'll be doing it again very, very soon. Thank you for being here, and God bless you, man.
Thank you, bro. It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.